Like most of America, the city of Erie in 1940 had been reeling from the Great Depression for the past decade. But the world was at war for the second time as the Allied powers, Great Britain, France, Russia, and Australia, battled the Axis powers, Germany and Italy, in Europe.
Life changed for a lot of people because Erie, like the rest of the United States, was in a severe economic depression. Erie wasn't hurt as extremely as many areas because of just the amount of industry, but there still was a lot of economic plight.
A nationalistic fervor swept through Germany with a charge led by Nazi leader Adolf Hitler because of the punitive measures imposed by the Treaty of Versailles that ended World War I.
Dem heutigen Deutschland stellt man keine Ultimaten mehr, das kann man sich nur bemerken.
Nazi Germany forced conflict in Europe, invading Poland and Czechoslovakia on a quest to conquer and seize all of Europe and eventually all of the world. Across the Atlantic, under President Franklin D. Roosevelt, the United States government enacted several neutrality acts asserting isolation from the war. All the while, America's standing army was around 227,000 men, with a National Guard of close to 235,000. Roosevelt knew if the nation were to go to war, it would need substantially more men to fight. For the first time in the nation's history, he signed into law a peacetime draft on September 16, 1940, calling for a massive draft of nearly 50 million men between the ages of 21 and 36. This sprang into effect the creation of draft boards, of which Erie had 6. Of those called to serve, one of the first men drafted in the Army from Erie was James Hess, who grew up at 917 Wyoming Avenue in Mill Creek Township. But most Erie soldiers, while some were drafted and others enlisted, were eager to join the service.
18, 19 years old, and this was an adventure. I have to say that up until that particular time, the most sleepless night I had is when, after I signed up for the draft and they notified me that I had to go to Pittsburgh to take an examination to see if I was fit for the service. Well, I was a little 120-pounder, real thin and kind of weak, and I wanted to go into service so bad. I don't know what would have happened if I'd have not passed that examination.
Support for the draft in America was high. One national survey from 1940 found that 71% of all Americans favored some sort of American draft. And while the country separated itself from world conflict with 2 oceans, America did not realize how close it was to war.